Fueled by a post-holiday surge in AI and energy stocks, South Korea's KOSPI soared to a record high, even as the won tumbled to a 5-month low amid trade talk uncertainties and the US dollar's persistent strength. As North Korea prepares to mark its ruling party's 80th anniversary with a massive military parade, all eyes are on the potential unveiling of a new solid fuel ICBM and the presence of high-level delegations from China, Russia, and Vietnam, signaling deepening diplomatic ties. Following intensive restoration work over the Chuseok holiday, about 1/3 of the 709 government systems affected by last month's data center fire are back online, with officials now installing new servers to accelerate the full recovery. Good evening, welcome to Newscenter. We begin on the economic front. South Korean stocks continue to rally as the benchmark KOSPI hit another record high today, closing above 3,600 points for the first time. Meanwhile, the Korean currency continues to weaken against the US dollar, with the $1 exchange rate now trading at its weakest level in 5 months. Our Park Jun-an starts us off.
South Korea's benchmark KOSPI closed past the 3,600 mark for the first time on Friday, the first session after the long Chuseok holiday, which kept markets closed for a week. The KOSPI opened at just over 3,598, up 1.38% from last Thursday's close. It then briefly touched the 3,600 mark during the day and closed at over 3,610 points, a 1.73% increase since Thursday last week. The main sectors that drove the market were semiconductor and nuclear power plant-related stocks, such as Samsung Electronics, SK hynix, and Tusan Enerbility. The three stocks gained 6.07%, 8.22%, and 14.97% respectively.
During the Chuseok holiday, when the South Korean stock market did not open over in the U.S., AI sentiment improved as OpenAI and AMD agreed on chip supply and investment cooperation. Tusan Enerbility today also gained on rising power demand, driven by large-scale AI-related capital spending, with nuclear power seen as a key stable energy source.
On the foreign exchange market, the $1 rate soared and closed at 1,421 Korean won per US dollar, up 21 won since Thursday last week. This marks the highest level in 5 months, mainly due to sluggish tariff deal talks between Seoul and Washington, the ones accompanying weakening with the Japanese yen's depreciation, and the recent rising dollar index. Although the dollar index has gone down by over 10% since its yearly high, the $1 exchange rate has gone down by 4.5%, which alludes to the weakening of the Korean won.
In recent weeks, the key factor behind the $1 fluctuations has been uncertainty over how South Korea will allocate its $350 billion investment in the U.S. Also, the yen's weakness following Japan's leadership change and policy expectations has weighed on the Korean currency.
As the KOSPI has ridden a wave of record-breaking gains in the past few months, investors remain cautious about looming tariff talks and the persistent strength of the US dollar, which could negatively affect future investor sentiment. Park Jun-han, Arirang News.
Now, in a few hours, a massive military parade could take place tonight in North Korea, celebrating the 80th anniversary of the founding of its ruling Workers' Party. Marking the occasion, top officials from China, Russia, and Vietnam arrived in the North Korean capital to take part in the event. Our Lee Seung-jae has more.
North Korea is expected to hold a massive military parade in Pyongyang's Kim Il-sung Square to mark the 80th anniversary of the founding of its ruling Workers' Party. There had been speculation that the parade would take place last night on the eve of the anniversary, but so far there has been no official confirmation that the event was held. Attention is focused on what new weapons North Korea may unveil during the parade. The regime previously announced it was developing a new solid-fuel intercontinental ballistic missile known as the Hwasong-20, sparking speculation that it could make its debut in this anniversary event. If revealed, the Hwasong-20 would represent a major advancement in North Korea's missile technology, as solid-fuel ICBMs can be launched more quickly and are harder to detect than traditional liquid fuel systems. The parade is expected to feature high-ranking foreign guests, including top officials from China, Russia, and Vietnam, highlighting North Korea's deepening ties with its key partners. China's Premier Li Chang, the country's number 2 after President Xi Jinping, arrived in Pyongyang on Thursday, marking the first visit by a Chinese premier to North Korea in 16 years. Russia has also sent a high-level delegation led by Dmitry Medvedev, deputy chairman of the Russian Security Council, who is often described as the country's second in command. In addition, Vietnam's Communist Party chief To Lam arrived in Pyongyang for a state visit, the first by Vietnam's top leaders since 2007. According to the Vietnam news agency, Lam and North Korean leader Kim Jong-un held talks and agreed to strengthen cooperation, elevate bilateral relations, and expand high-level exchanges across party, government, and regional levels. Pundits say the presence of top figures from China, Russia, and Vietnam signals North Korea's intent to showcase solidarity with its traditional allies at a time of growing geopolitical tensions. The parade would not only mark a milestone in the Workers' Party's history, but also serve as a powerful display of North Korea's military capabilities and its strengthening diplomatic ties with Beijing, Moscow, and Hanoi. Lee Seung-jae, Arirang News.
Now, Seoul and Washington have reaffirmed their firm commitment to North Korea's denuclearization and to strengthening their strategic economic partnership. This came as Vice Foreign Minister Park Yun-ju on Friday held the 10th bilateral strategic dialogue with U.S. Undersecretary of State for Political Affairs Allison Hooker, marking the first such meeting held since 2021. According to the Foreign Ministry, both sides agreed that their alliance remains a cornerstone of peace and stability on the Korean Peninsula and in the Indo-Pacific region, and stressed the importance of trilateral coordination with Japan. They also agreed to further broaden cooperation in areas such as security, economy, advanced technology, and people-to-people exchanges. The two officials welcomed the new Korea-U.S. Visa Working Group in efforts to enable smoother entry to the U.S. for Korean businesses, ahead of the APEC leaders meeting in Gyeongju City this month, during which President Lee Jae-myung and Donald Trump are likely to meet. Park and Hooker discussed follow-up measures to the first leaders summit in August. Now, this just in, a South Korean national detained in Israel has been voluntarily deported and is now on a flight to Istanbul after days-long efforts for her release from Seoul officials. We connect to our correspondent Oh Soo-young at the Foreign Ministry for more. Soo-young, we just heard that the Korean member of a vessel seized by Israeli authorities is finally free.
That's right, Toyon. Some good news on a Friday night. The Foreign Ministry just confirmed that a South Korean citizen who was detained by Israeli authorities earlier this week has now been voluntarily deported to Turkey and is now on her way home. The person has been identified by the media as Kimayon, a female activist aboard one of the 42 vessels in the Global Sumo Flotilla, a pro-Palestinian mission aimed at breaking Israel's naval blockade of Gaza to deliver humanitarian aid. Officials say that the Korean embassy in Israel sent a consular officer to the detention facility to verify the person's health and safety and to assist with their departure procedures. The embassy later confirmed the citizen's safe takeoff, and the Korean consulate in Istanbul will continue providing support until her return home. More than 450 activists were reportedly captured by the Israeli Navy and detained for further questioning. Well, that's all I have for now. Back to you, Toyon.
Thank you for that, Soo-young. Now, staying in the Middle East, the first phase of a U.S. brokered ceasefire between Israel and Hamas has finally begun, marking a breakthrough after 2 years of war in Gaza. Palestinians returned to the northern part of Gaza while Israeli troops begin pulling out. The deal promises the release of all remaining hostages and an end to fighting, but questions remain about what comes next. Our Moon Hae-ryun reports.
Israel's government has approved a ceasefire resolution that includes the release of all hostages held in Gaza, both the living and the remains of the dead. The vote came late Thursday night local time, clearing the way for the first phase of U.S. President Donald Trump's peace plan to take effect. Trump's Middle East envoy Steve Witkoff and his son-in-law Jared Kushner attended the meeting, where Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu personally thanked them for their work.
We know that it's for the benefit of Israel and the United States, for the benefit of decent people everywhere, and for the benefit of these families who will finally get to be with their loved ones.
Trump said the release of hostages could happen soon and hinted at a visit to the region as early as Sunday.
I think it's the hostages will be coming back Monday or Tuesday. I'll probably be there. I hope to be there.
Under the deal, Hamas will free all remaining Israeli hostages in exchange for hundreds of Palestinian prisoners. Israeli troops will begin withdrawing from parts of Gaza, and fleets of trucks carrying food and medical aid will surge into the territory, with the United Nations declaring full support. But implementation of the plan raises difficult questions about what comes next, including whether Hamas will disarm, how a full Israeli withdrawal will unfold, and who will govern Gaza once the fighting stops. To help oversee those next steps, AP News reported that U.S. officials said a new coordination center is being established, staffed by about 200 American service members with expertise in logistics, transportation, security, and engineering. A senior defense official reportedly said no American troops will enter Gaza, but they'll help monitor the ceasefire's implementation and the transition into a civilian administration in the territory. Celebrations and praise poured in from around the world, including South Korea. In a statement issued by its foreign ministry spokesperson, Seoul said it highly values President Trump's leading proposal for this agreement, as well as the mediation efforts of neighboring countries in the region. It also pledged to actively participate in international efforts to promote peace in the Middle East. 문혜련, Arirang News.
Venezuela's opposition leader Corina Machado has won the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 for her work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela. Our Cha Yoon-kyung reports.
The Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 has been awarded to Venezuelan opposition politician María Corina Machado.
The Norwegian Nobel Committee has decided to award the Nobel Peace Prize for 2025 to María Corina Machado. She is receiving the Nobel Peace Prize for her tireless work promoting democratic rights for the people of Venezuela.
The Nobel Committee also said in its announcement that Machado is recognized for her struggle to achieve a just and peaceful transition from dictatorship to democracy, adding that she is one of the most extraordinary examples of civilian courage in Latin America in recent times. Machado has largely been in hiding since last year's presidential election. In 2024, she was blocked by Venezuela's courts from running for president and therefore challenged President Nicolas Maduro, who has been in power since 2013. Cha Yoon-kyung, Arirang News.
After the week-long Chuseok holiday in South Korea, the recovery from last month's government data center fire still remains sluggish. The authorities say the full reinstallation of the management system expected next week will help accelerate the pace of recovery. Our Park Hyo-bin reports.
During the Chuseok holidays, the government restored around 47 systems disrupted by last month's fire at the National Information Resources Service in Daejeon. As of noon Friday, about one-third of the 709 disrupted systems were back online, according to the Ministry of Interior and Safety. Among the most critical Class 1 systems, 30 out of 40 have returned to normal operation. Newly restored systems include the Interior Ministry's administrative platform, as well as the Financial Services Commission's management and meeting systems. The authorities earlier apologized for confusion over the total count of affected systems. After the data management platform NTOPS was restored, officials reviewed the full list and corrected the total from 647 to 709, adding 62 services.
With NTOPS now back online and verified through each ministry, this figure will remain final. We sincerely apologize for the earlier confusion.
Officials said the restoration of the management system will enable more precise recovery tracking going forward. They also noted that 198 new servers and network devices to help the recovery, originally scheduled for installation later this month, were brought in during the Chuseok holidays. With full installation expected by October 15th, the pace of recovery is projected to accelerate. Meanwhile, systems in the 5th data room, initially considered for relocation to the Daejeon Center, will instead be temporarily restored at the Daejeon facility.
If swift restoration is possible within the Daejeon Center, we plan to use that space to bring systems back online as quickly as possible.
As restoration efforts drag on, the government also plans to provide manpower support to relieve the burden on civil servants and technicians working at the site. Park Hyubin, Arirang News.
President Lee Jae-myung, despite being officially on leave, visited the National Information Resources Service in Daejeon this morning, the site of the data center fire 2 weeks ago that has caused a massive outage across hundreds of government services. According to presidential spokesperson Kim Nam-jun, Lee was briefed on the recovery process and met with staff who had been working to restore the damaged systems even during the Chuseok holiday. The president emphasized the need for a swift recovery and strong preventive measures and ordered the creation of a safe working environment for those on site. Now, at the National Assembly, with the first parliamentary inspection under the current administration set to begin on Monday, the ruling and opposition parties have pledged to scrutinize policy agendas and other contentious issues. Our political correspondent An Sung-jin tells us more.
The National Assembly will launch its first parliamentary audit of the Lee Jae-myung administration next Monday. From October 13th till November 6th, 17 standing committees of the National Assembly are to inspect over 830 government departments and agencies. The ruling and opposition parties are gearing up for some fierce political clashes amid a series of controversial issues, with both the former Yoon Suk-yeol administration and the current government in their crosshairs. The ruling Democratic Party's primary focus is on addressing the actions of the previous administration.
This parliamentary audit is about clearing the remnants of the Yoon administration's insurrection. We are committed to addressing the damage caused by the previous government's illegal actions and policy failures.
Intense scrutiny is expected on the Justice Ministry, Defense Ministry, Foreign Ministry, and Interior Ministry, alongside controversial policies from the previous administration, including the increase of medical school quota and the Blue Whale project to search for potential oil and gas reserves in the East Sea. The DP is also likely to bring up its allegations of political bias and election interference against Supreme Court Chief Justice Cho Hee-dae. Meanwhile, the main opposition People Power Party vowed to expose the current administration's policy failures and mismanagement.
The People Power Party has three key objectives during the parliamentary inspection: defending freedom and fairness, restoring economic growth, and ensuring transparency in government operations.
Lawmakers are expected to press the government on the economic impact of U.S. tariffs as well as mounting concerns over inflation and instability in the real estate market. Other contentious issues likely to come up include the recent government IT system outage and the arrest of the former Korea Communications Commission chairwoman, who has subsequently been released. With both the ruling and opposition parties vowing to leave no stone unturned, the two sides are expected to clash head-on over a wide range of issues. An Sung-jin, Arirang News.
Korean food took center stage at one of the world's largest food fair, marking a significant push for K-food into the rapidly growing European market. Our economics correspondent Moon Ji-young has more.
This year's Anuga, one of the world's top 3 food fairs, saw a Korean pavilion securing a main booth in the center of the exhibition hall. As the fair's first-ever partner country, South Korea operated a dedicated K-food pavilion, garnering much acclaim. The event, held in Cologne, Germany, drew 8,000 companies from 118 countries with 160,000 food and distribution industry officials. The Korean pavilion showcased an array of foods, including beloved traditional staples such as kimchi, tteokbokki, and ramyeon. A broad display highlighted the immense popularity and innovative drive behind K-food's global surge. Fueled by growing global interest in K-culture, this momentum is now accelerating the expansion of iconic K-food deeper into the European market. Capitalizing on this trend, Nongsim caught attention by prominently featuring characters from its recently released collaboration product, K-pop Demon Hunters, at the front of its booth.
There's a lot of ramen, a lot of flavors, and they're all pretty spicy, which I like, because this spice makes it really addictive, and I really like it. And yeah, all I can say, I really like Korean ramen.
While K-food exports have traditionally focused on Asia and North America, this heightened visibility at the event underscores a strategic shift. Domestic food companies are now clearly poised to accelerate their efforts in penetrating the rapidly growing European market, signaling a robust future for K-food on the global stage. 문지영, Arirang News.
An abandoned railway station has been transformed into a massive art complex. An exhibition in Seocheon-gun County, Chungcheongnam-do Province reimagines the town's industrial heritage as a living gallery. Our Pyeong was there.
Once a symbol of Korea's industrial past, Changang 1931, the former Changang Railway Station and also known as Changang City Exploration Station, has been reborn as a space where history, art, and imagination intersect.
This place was once bustling with the sound of trains and travelers, but now it moves people through art.
The industrial heritage of the old Jangang Station has been reborn as a new cultural space through contemporary art. This exhibition revives Seocheon-gun County's history and identity, inspiring pride among local residents and offering visitors a fresh look at Janghang's unique charm.
The exhibition Moving Boundary turns the town's almost century-old railway facilities, from the station building and train cars to former guard posts, into immersive art installations. Stepping aboard an old train, visitors encounter Lee Nam's 2-channel video installation, Breathing Platform, where moving images unfold as if the viewers themselves are part of the work. Outdoors, large-scale sculptures line the tracks, like this iron tree installation by Song Dong-un and Kim Taeun's Signal Candy. Former guard posts, once used to monitor the rail line, have been transformed into art spaces. They now encourage visitors to reflect on the passage of time and the connection between people and places. Art critic Go Chung-an explains that the exhibition shows how art can drive transformation.
What makes this exhibition especially meaningful is that it's not an active industrial site anymore. Instead, it acts as a bridge between urban regeneration and art, addressing how change can happen through this connection.
Artists also highlight regeneration as a central theme.
Even as some cities fade away, new ones emerge. And if those cities can carry on the cultural heritage and meaning of the past, they can continue to connect and evolve.
The Jangang line has long been closed, and this area has become a regenerated space. It's meaningful to bring contemporary art here and share it with the local community.
Changgang's story serves as a reminder that forgotten places can breathe again through art. The exhibition runs until December 31st. Pyeong, Arirang News, Seocheon.
Rain will keep falling in the Seoul metropolitan area, Gangwon-do province, and Chungcheongbuk-do province until tomorrow. Over today and tomorrow, 20 to 60 millimeters of rain will fall in the central and northern regions, including Seoul, and up to 40 millimeters in Gangwon-do province. Rain is expected to continue until early next week. Will rain in southern Gyeonggi-do province, Gangwon-do province, and the Chungcheong-do provinces on Sunday, and then spread to the southern parts of the country during the night. More rain is forecast across the country next Monday and Tuesday as well. Saturday morning will start off at 18 degrees Celsius in Seoul, Daejeon, and Daegu, 22 degrees in Jeju. Highs will move up to 23 degrees in Seoul, 28 degrees in Daegu and Busan. On Wednesday, it is expected to rain in southern and eastern parts of Gangwon-do province. That's all for Korea. Here are the weather conditions around the world.
That is all we have for tonight. I'm Kim Do-yeon from all of us here at Arirang. Thanks for watching and good night.